When the Pixel Fold first came out, I think that we were all pretty pleasantly surprised to see that Google was doing pretty well in terms of the brightness on this device. The foldable screen was said to have 1000 nits of brightness, 1450 for peak brightness. Sometimes these phones, when they see a very bright light you're in, they will do this boosted mode where they get much, much brighter for a limited amount of time. On the cover display, we were looking at 1200 nits or 1550 when we were talking about that boosted mode there as well. So this on paper seemed pretty darn solid, in particular compared to the other foldables on the market. However, after this device was released, I started seeing complaints from people pretty darn quickly that yes, it will be very bright when you step outside in the bright sunlight, but it dims very, very quickly. Most devices will, in fact, dim quite quickly. Although on other devices, we're talking about after several minutes, whereas on the Pixel Fold, in my experience, we would lose our peak brightness sometimes around a minute or so. So if you were out in that bright summer sunlight when this thing came out, you might not find it all that usable after only about a minute or so of use, which could be extremely frustrating. And in fact, I heard from some people that it made them actually want to return the device outright. Now, I just made a video talking about how I can't decide between this device and the OnePlus Open. I find them to both be such fantastic phones. If we talk about the OnePlus Open for just a moment, and let's look at the specifications that they listed, we kind of have a weird problem, right? So they said 2800 nits of peak brightness on both screens. That is incredibly bright. However, in independent testing from someone like Short Circuit, Linus Tech Tips sub-channel, they found in their testing it was really closer to like 1300 nits, give or take. They were not able to verify anything near 2800, and that kind of lines up with what my eye has been telling me as of late. Like I said in that aforementioned video, something has changed for me with the Pixel Fold. As I've been using that device very extensively, the same as I was before, what I was noticing was that I'm, spending time outside. It is definitely, the winter now, but we have a lot of clear skies lately, sun beating down, and this thing is remaining extremely visible in that direct sunlight. It's like it's hitting that peak brightness and it's just not wanting to dim anymore. So what I decided to do is I decided to kind of dig into this a little bit further and do some testing. So what I did is I took my Pixel Fold, I took my OnePlus Open as sort of a control, a device that has been pretty roundly praised for its display prowess. I opened them both up, I set them out in direct sunlight, and I filmed a time lapse with my S23 Ultra. And the first thing you're probably going to notice is that in terms of just max peak brightness, they look extraordinarily similar. They look almost identical to my eye. Now, because it was a time lapse, it went by very, very quickly. I'll try and kind of slow it down here at this portion of the video. You can see right at about the 5-minute mark, the Pixel Fold finally dimmed just a little bit. Now, again, this was in direct sunlight, and trust me when I tell you, this would have happened much, 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 much sooner in the past. We got 5 minutes of peak brightness in direct sunlight out of this device. So I thought, wow, that is a crazy result. Now, granted, the OnePlus Open stayed at exactly the same level. It did not seem to dim at all after 5 minutes. So that's great to see from that device. But the Pixel Fold hung on for 5 minutes. That is a pretty darn impressive display. So what about the cover display? What's going to happen there? Well, we did the exact same test with the cover display, and after 5 minutes, neither one had dimmed at all. And once again, they looked remarkably similar in terms of real-world peak brightness. So what do we have right now? We have, I think, pretty darn good evidence that the Pixel Fold, at least currently, is not suffering from that premature dimming that we were getting before. What is causing this? I frankly do not know. I want to make this very clear. I am on the QPR2 beta number 1.1, I think is the one that they just released. Is that part of QPR2? Was it part of QPR1 and I just didn't notice? That is entirely possible. I do not have a firm explanation for this, but I do imagine it has been something in one of these more recent betas. Now, to add another wrinkle to this part, I really don't know what to think about. But in my memory and in some B-roll that I shot for an older video, the Pixel Fold was never as bright as it seems to be for me now when I'm out in direct sunlight. As you can see here, the OnePlus Open was demolishing the Z Fold 4 and my Pixel Fold. And now, as you've seen in those time lapses, that just doesn't seem to be the case. Even when the Pixel Fold has dimmed, it's not as bad as it looks like there. In fact, even when it's dimmed, they still look really, really close to my eyes. So I really don't fully understand what's going on here. And hopefully, maybe some of you guys in the comments will have something to add to this. I also want to show you another test that I did. I decided to kind of push both devices in a more like maybe artificial way, I guess. What I did is I put them both on a table with my lamp directly over top of them, and this actually did render an interesting result, where before it seemed as though the Pixel Fold was the brighter device and it really shouldn't have been. Now I was actually getting the OnePlus Open, in my eyes anyways, to fully brighten to its maximum peak brightness. As you can see here, they look almost identical. They both look extremely bright. And what I did is I ran a very intense stress test on both of them to generate a whole bunch of heat internally to see if I could get either one of them to dim by doing that. And the result of this was pretty cool because both of them just carried on at their peak brightness for a very long time. Like it was like 12 minutes when I finally just ended the test because it just seemed pointless to continue going any further. Now, when I was done, the Pixel Fold was about 105 degrees on the outside externally, right? That's pretty warm. That was in Fahrenheit, mind you. The OnePlus Open was somewhere around 100 degrees. So they really weren't even all that far apart in terms of thermals, but they both looked really quite bright and they both sustained it the entire time. So again, going back to those complaints people had that the Pixel Fold would dim really quickly, I am not seeing that anymore. It looks to me as though that problem is just completely resolved. So what I need from you guys now is your feedback. I need to know if you are seeing something similar. In the video I talked about earlier, I did get some comments from people saying, I'm seeing the same thing. My Pixel Fold is also not dimming. Let me know if that is the case for you, and let me know what version of the OS you are on. If you're on QPR1, QPR2, let me know where you're at. Maybe you're on stable, okay? Let me know what version you are on and what your experience has been, because this is very interesting, and I would love to be able to kind of nail this down so that people will know what to expect out of their device going forward. But again, for me, this problem appears to be totally resolved. The Pixel Fold, for me, other than the fact that the screen protector is more glossy than the OnePlus Open, other than the fact that the OnePlus Open is higher resolution and has a higher PPI, the Pixel Fold screen is holding its own. It looks very, very, very good to my eye right now, and that brightness thing was kind of the only thing that bugged me about it. Seems like it's fixed. So like I said, guys, give me that feedback in the comments down below. Subscribe for more content like this, and until next time, stay nerdy.